Yeah.
As Arnie Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back.
He'll be back. Okay, show us
He'll
your
be,
stand. Ready?
yes.
Ah,
Boom.
my one.
Yeah, I know. You got the finger. There you go.
You reckon you could
So,
box like this, Joy? It's titanium too, you know? Does that
absolutely.
mean like, like I
Just give
wouldn't
it
be
the
able to
finger.
box because I've got like titanium in my hand? No? Do you
You
reckon?
certainly don't have a titanium punch.
Red hot underdogs rising tonight. Anzac and Drew, we bringing the fight. Talk about the game ain't just one side. Whistles blowing, sirens loud wide. Energy pumping, scheming plot. Nothing too small, nothing forgot. Boxing gloves and footy kicks. Sport and no sport, mixing the fist.
Oh,
Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Anzac. This is the Red Hot Underdogs. It's the middle of the night, and I'd like to introduce the ever incredible, long contained, often imitated, but never duplicated, Osso.
g'day, also. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast that is always a first round knockout.
Yeah,
And not in a good way. Usually, we're the podcast that gets knocked out in the
yeah,
first round.
yeah.
Speaking of which, there has been some movement today in Australian boxing
Yeah,
for good and for bad.
yeah.
Usually, people ask, you want the good news or you want the bad news? I think we rip off the band-aid and start with the bad news, the
No,
terrible,
let's do the good news first. I want to do the good news.
devastating.
Yeah,
All
let's
right, we can
Jai
start with the
first.
good
Let's
news
start with
first.
the good news because we just watched it.
Okay.
Okay.
Start off with Australia's best boxer,
Yeah.
Jai Opetaia.
Yeah.
Deserves so many more plaudits, so much credit than what he actually gets.
Yeah.
I know people back Tim Zoo and
Yeah.
all the media are on top of Tim Zoo because he's a media darling.
Yeah.
He cuts a silent fart and you've got media hordes everywhere. But Jai Opetaia is the man to jump on.
He is.
He's
He
a
is.
world champion. He's proven he just doesn't get the shine. And he just had a victory over Claudio Squeo, who was going in at 17 wins, no losses, no draws, and nine knockouts
Yeah.
from Italy. And he made a successful defense by knocking Mr. Squeo out in the fifth round.
Huge. He is that much better
Yeah.
than his mandatory defense fights. He,
Yes.
you know, and just to sum up just a little bit, what I took away from the fight is what a gentleman, if you're allowed to say it, Jai is. Because at the end, look, this is me doing I can't close my fist.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
me closing my fist.
I gotcha.
Yeah, when he won, right, in the
Yeah.
fifth
Yeah.
round, like
Yeah.
he hit Claudio and
Yeah.
Claudio went down.
Yeah.
And you could just tell, like, Jai knew he was on his last
Knocked out.
legs and
Yeah.
hit him and was like, any other boxer could have just unloaded
Yeah.
unnecessarily, but he didn't. He just did what he had to do to win. He wasn't showing off. He wasn't being a twat. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone. He just won fair and square and was a gentleman. There you go. Gentleman.
Yeah. Well, he actually got Claudio Squeo in the corner in the fifth round, and
Mm.
he did knock him down and landed a big flush right hand to the jaw,
Yeah.
which put Claudio Squeo on the canvas, not laid out, but taking a knee. And it was such a flush jaw
Yeah.
that, in fact, it broke Squeo's jaw
Yeah.
at the end of the fight. So he does have significant power,
Yeah.
Jai Opetaia. He now moves to 28 wins, no losses, no draws, and 22 wins via way of knockout.
Wow.
Which, and the thing I like about Jai Opetaia, he's very measured, he's very clinical, he's
Mm.
very professional in that he doesn't try and throw a whole heap of punches just to necessarily entertain the crowd.
Yeah,
He throws the right punches at the right time to get in the right position in the fight to
yeah.
be at his best,
Well,
not
the
just to
first,
entertain everyone. It helps to entertain people, but
yeah.
you've got to be smart about what punches you throw and when.
Well, the first couple of rounds, he was walking
Yeah,
back, wasn't he? He was very defensive. It wasn't razzle dazzle, you know. It really wasn't. There was nothing showman, you know, it,
yeah.
and at the start at all, you know.
But that also comes from his extensive amateur career because not only does he move backwards when he needs to, he also moves forwards when he
Yeah,
needs to. So
yeah,
he's like the tide coming in
yeah,
and out. And the thing is even when you're not throwing punches, because he has pretty significant power. It's a
mm,
pressure game. So when people say he's not doing a lot, sometimes he's actually doing quite a lot
yeah,
by not doing much, if that makes sense, by building pressure, by being good defensively, by being there constantly in the opponent's face.
yeah,
And I just think as a boxer, he deserves so much more shine than what he gets.
yeah.
What does this win do for him? Well, not
And
only is he
why doesn't he get shine? Why not?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, unfortunately, I think he's in the era of Tim Zoo who gets all the shine.
Mm.
Now, I don't want to call Tim Zoo a Nepo
Can't
baby.
blame Tim Zoo for Jai
I
Opetaia
know.
not getting shined. Is that all you got? Is that all you
No,
got?
no, but guess what? It's a lot.
But
I
it's
tell you why. No, no, it really is. Honestly, he does so much, but when Tim Zoo goes out for a hot dog,
yeah,
the bloody media is there.
yeah.
When he gets the mail, the media is there. Personality wise,
Mm.
they're not that much different.
You're right.
Tim Zoo doesn't
Yeah,
Tim Zoo doesn't have a big booming
yeah,
personality.
yeah,
Not at all.
yeah.
So when people go, oh, maybe Tim Zoo's got the charisma. No, he doesn't.
He
He's
doesn't,
got the name.
you
If
know?
you know what, if he didn't have the name, he probably wouldn't be on the radar. Of
Yeah,
course, we want Tim Zoo to do well, but he's not our best guy. Jai Opetaia is.
yeah,
I like Jai Opetaia's style. In
yeah,
fact, you know what? He probably actually gives a little bit more in
yeah,
interviews than even what Tim does.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But he just doesn't get the name, you know. He just hasn't got the name. And as you know, boxing is a casual sport. Like a lot of casual fans
yeah,
gravitate to it. And a lot
yeah.
of the media and reporters aren't hardcore boxing fans. They're casual boxing fans, so they gravitate to a name that
Well,
they know.
it's because this sport is, like how many really good boxing matches do you watch in a year or in a month or in
Yeah,
6 months? It's not like rugby league, this weekend,
yeah.
you know, so much rugby league and so entertaining. And boxing's not like that. So
No, no.
that nature
Unfortunately, it's,
tends it to make it like that type of sport where it's like a something you get together with your mates and watch it. Um,
yeah, unfortunately, it's become the sport of business and the business of boxing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
quite unfortunate, where it's meant to be the other way around, but you get greedy promoters. You sometimes get fighters that actually think they're worth more than what they actually are. They have one
yeah,
significant win and then they think they're on Mayweather money. It's
yeah,
ridiculous. But that doesn't go for all of them, but there are a lot of egos and corruption and whatnot. It's a sport that constantly gives itself a black eye, but nonetheless, there are prospects on the horizon for
yeah,
Jai Opetaia.
yeah, yeah,
He really wants to unify the belts and
yeah.
he really wants to go after Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez
But
next.
that's who he called out at the end. I couldn't really hear. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
and I'll let you talk about who he wants in a sec, but just to say, like, even after the fight, I know he said he was respectful as a puncher, but after the fight, he was like, "Thank you to the fans, for
Yes.
coming in." He wasn't like me, me, me. I did this, I did this. I'm the best. He was like, "We, me and my team, me, my team," and I think that's really cool because
Yeah, yeah.
that's the truth. Like there's no one person that could do it. And it's, when you see these tennis players or you see these, boxers and their me, not we team. It's a bit um, self-centered, like.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
finally, he called out this bloke, and it
Yeah.
was well said. I do have his words here, but tell us about this bloke. He said that I got it in front of me. He said, "Look, if you uh, anyone who thinks that they are the best, they're not the best unless they beat me." And he called out this bloke. Who's this bloke? When's it going to happen? Is he dodging and avoiding Jai?
Okay, so Gilberto Ramirez, his boxing name being Zerto, which is his nickname. He's actually 47 and 1 with 30 knockouts, so he's a very good opponent.
I thought you were
Hot,
about to say he's 47 years old. I said, well, that's, we're
no, is
47
that
for another month or two, and we can become
yeah.
professional boxers with this stuffed up finger.
Well,
Anyway, I'm listening. I'm listening. Tell us more. Tell us more. Sorry.
funnily enough, he's actually 33, but will turn 34 this month.
Okay.
And
So
Jai is 29
yeah, he's
and
old. Yeah.
will turn 30 this month. So they're
Yeah.
both turning a year older this month.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ramirez, 47 and 1 with 30 knockouts, holds the WBA and WBO belt, which essentially is what Opetaia wants, so that then he can have three belts. The only other belt left in the division is Badu Jack, who holds the WBC belt. He's 29, 3 and 3. He would actually be an easy mark. So if the plan would be Jai Opetaia would really want a big money fight with Ramirez, but if he can't get Ramirez, it
Yeah.
might not be a bad idea to go after Badu Jack,
Yeah.
collect the WBC belt, and then have that as a bargaining chip in
Yeah.
order to land the Ramirez fight.
Yeah. Why can't he get this Ramirez together? Like, is this mandatory one that he just did? He just had to do that first, or like what?
Yeah, and Ramirez had a mandatory recently, and I
One.
actually had one coming up, sorry.
Yeah.
And on the 28th of June. So
Okay.
once Ramirez gets past
Yeah.
the mandatory on the 28th of June, they can then talk Turkey and try and get it done.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, 4 months from now.
I'm guessing Ramirez is American. Are you right?
Mexican.
Oh, Mexican. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, look, it'll be a good fight.
Where would it be? Would it be not in Mexico? Would it be in Vegas?
I
Would it be in Saudi? Where would it be?
I would say it's going to be in America, but don't be surprised if the Saudis
Yeah.
throw money and a bid at it. That's always a possibility. One place it won't be is in Australia, but
Where
that
would you
doesn't.
want it to be? Like the
I'd like
Central
it.
Coast, the Central Coast or Gold Coast? See, you know, we
I'd
said
like it.
they said Jai Opetaia from the Gold Coast. He's from the Central Coast, but anyway,
Yeah,
what a
the poor
marvel.
old announcer made a bit of a boo-boo there. It happens to the best of us, but it doesn't all happen to us in front of several thousand people
Yeah.
in the stadium with a microphone and several thousand watching the
Yeah.
telecast.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah.
difference. If
Um,
we make a
you want
mistake,
to,
only 100 people watch it.
do you
That's right.
care? Because it's not going to be in Australia, so it doesn't matter, does it? Or
No, I don't care. Look, I think America I would like
yeah,
because it's just got the atmosphere.
yeah,
When when it's in Saudi Arabia,
yeah,
it's like a bit like two grannies having a pillow fight in a
yeah,
nursing home.
yeah.
There's just no atmosphere there.
But that's entertaining. I don't know if you've seen two grannies having a pillow fight in a nursing home. That can be good, entertaining shit, Drewy.
It could be, but I prefer the age group to probably be 20s to 30s
Yeah,
without that
yeah,
sounding too
yeah,
creepy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, so look, there's a lot there to be had for him.
yeah,
I just think that Australia really needs to get on board. I think the Australian media need to get on board too.
yeah, yeah,
He just doesn't get the shine that he should.
yeah, yeah.
But
Okay,
hopefully that comes with more success. It probably would, and it
yeah,
probably will.
yeah,
And he's very proud of being an Australian, and he's also proud of his Samoan heritage.
yeah.
So
It sure is. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot. to like about him, and
Yeah,
he's good, humble, stoic-natured guy. There's no bullshit about him. He
yeah,
doesn't give you these pre-packaged vanilla answers that the
yeah,
media all want to hear. In
yeah,
fact, some reporters are a bit scared of him
yeah,
when they actually interview him because he's very straightforward with his answers, and
yeah.
he can be a bit prickly if you ask a bloody dumb question.
And he wears those bucket hats. I mean, maybe that scares off.
Where's the bucket hats? Keen
Yeah.
fisherman. So we should all be getting upon the Opetaia.
We got to get a bucket hat. I know my
Oh,
son's got one, the 6-year-old. Do you have a bucket hat?
I've got no bucket hat.
What
I
about your
don't do
daughter?
much.
She's probably got one, right?
No, my daughter doesn't have one yet,
She'll
but
get
she
one.
will.
All babies
Give
get
it,
bucket hats. I tell
give
you.
it some time. Give it some
Okay.
time.
Look, we got to talk about Huni, the next fight. But
Yes.
anything else about Jai Opetaia that you want to say?
All I want to say is I really enjoy and like the trajectory that he's on.
Yeah.
He's patient in the ring. His
Yeah.
punch placement is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think all of his skills that he's acquired from the amateur ranks is now flowing through into the pro ranks. And for the first time in a long time, I'm really, really excited about an Australian boxing prospect.
Yeah. Well, first time in a long
And
time. Since when? Since when?
well, I mean, gee,
Well,
it's hard to say. Maybe since Kostjazoo, even though he's like
you were
a
excited
CEO.
about Tim. You were excited about Tim. You were.
Uh, to an extent, but not the same.
Yeah.
To an extent, because I actually, no offense to Tim, I
Mm.
actually saw greater skill and depth in Jai
You
Opetaia, and
did.
I've
You
mentioned
said
his
it
name for
here.
a long time.
You said it here. You said it
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah,
We actually, I just had a look. We did our first episode in 2023,
yeah,
and you said it then, and that's
yeah,
a couple
yeah,
of years ago now.
yeah.
Um, all right,
Been
Drew.
on the radar for a long
Let's
time.
move on to the next one.
Mm.
Mooney, tell us about that fight. What happened? Run us through.
Poor old Justis Huni. This was his golden ticket
Mm.
to the heavyweight big time.
Yeah,
This
and
was going
he
to
was
open
lucky, wasn't he? He was lucky getting this shot.
this was going to open lots of doors.
Yeah.
So he went over there to face England's Fabio Wardley,
He's
who
from
now
Brisbane, right? Brisbane. Hooney's from Brisbane.
he is from Brisbane.
Yeah.
So he went over to fight Fabio Wardley for an interim WBA belt, a
Okay.
heavyweight belt. Obviously not the main one, it's an interim one, but it
What,
puts
what,
you
what,
in the
what's
picture for
interim?
big
What do you mean
fights.
interim? Is that the one below it or something? Or
Yeah, below. Like boxing has a habit of having all of these confusing belts. It takes a little while to explain to people, but obviously the likes of Usyk and Dubois own the major belts,
yeah,
but this was an interim belt and it would have given him a golden ticket to fight some of the very best in the division.
yeah,
Eventually, maybe an Usyk or a Dubois, a Parker, Caballel, Pulev,
yeah,
Hrgovic, all the big boys. But he went over to fight Fabio Wardley, who was 19 wins, no losses, and one draw, with 18 wins coming via way of KO.
yeah,
Justice was 11 wins and seven KOs going. I know 12 wins and seven KOs going over there. I beg your pardon. And today, unfortunately, he lost in the 10th round.
mm,
He was absolutely boxing Wardley's ears off
yeah.
from the
Wow.
second round on.
Yeah,
From the second round to the ninth, because obviously he got knocked out in the 10th, so you
yeah,
can't count that. Until he got knocked out, he was still winning the 10th. So
yeah,
from the second round on, it was essentially a shutout. It even had it a shutout on the English cards that they had on the
yeah.
telecast.
Wow.
And mate, it was just no comparison. But watching it, I was extremely nervous because I'm very familiar with the power of Fabio Wardley, and I'm just like, you only need to last a few more rounds.
Yeah.
But Wardley, it only took a split second.
Split second and got him. And run us
Yeah,
through what
well,
happened.
it
Yeah.
was a big booming right hand. So the
Yeah.
first round was kind of a feeling out round.
Yeah.
I felt that Huni just landed a couple of major punches that probably just edged the round. Not a lot happened. I felt that Huni kind of took the round off in the second round. I actually gave that to Wardley, but
Mm,
I also felt that Huni was having a good look about what Wardley actually brought to the table.
mm,
And then once he was able to download what Wardley was essentially about in the ring, he then went to work clinically, methodically, was probably fighting the fight of his life.
mm,
It was just so obvious. And Wardley didn't have an extensive amateur career. In fact, he had no amateur career. He
mm.
started fighting white collar boxing,
Yeah.
which is businessmen having an amateur fight in the ring with gloves, it's sanctioned and all, but only started boxing at the age of 20, but the guy has phenomenal power. Hooney's been boxing his whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when I say his whole life, since he was six.
Yeah.
So, and he's 26 now, and Fabio Wardley's 30. So, anyway,
Is
in
this,
the,
well, tell us about the knockdown. Come on.
yeah, so it was more of the same from Hooney because throughout each round,
Mm,
he was making Wardley miss. He
mm,
was making Wardley pay by hitting him, by countering him,
mm,
by ramming the jab in his face,
mm,
upstairs, downstairs, literally doing it all. And
mm,
Wardley was swollen in the face.
mm,
He looked dejected. One thing I will give Wardley props for is he never gave up
mm.
despite getting completely outclassed.
Yeah.
Then a bolt from the blue, a major nuclear crashing atomic right hand came through from Wardley
Yeah.
straight on Hooney's chin.
Yeah.
And that was all she wrote. And the crowd went absolutely berserk. Before then, all the English singing and chanting had turned into a London library
Yeah.
because there was just nothing. There was tumbleweeds, there was crickets, and the
Yeah.
air had been taken out of the room.
Yeah.
Even the commentators started making excuses saying, because Wardley was meant to fight American Jarrell Big Baby Miller,
Yeah.
but he pulled out through injury. And they started saying, do you think the change of opponent has sort of affected Wardley in this fight? And I'm
Mm,
watching it going, no, these guys are professionals. They've seen every kind of style, and he's
yeah.
had 6 weeks to prepare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop that nonsense.
Yeah.
But as it would have, that right hand only takes 1 second and it put out Herney's lights to a certain extent. He was visibly hurt on the ground. There has been
Yeah.
some conjecture over the count saying it was quite
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. Really quick. That's what I was waiting for you to say. And see how the ref he looks straight to this timekeeper that was
Yeah.
out of the and my first thought was why is there a timekeeper? Why do we need a timekeeper? You know, why is there one? Is there always a timekeeper? Is
Yeah,
there always
like,
someone that counts to 10?
well, it's the ref, essentially. The ref counts to 10.
No,
So,
no. He looked at some timekeeper that was out of the ring for the,
okay.
okay?
Yeah, well, essentially in every instance, the referee is meant to be doing the
Yeah.
count.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
why didn't he for this
but
time? Why was there someone that he looked to that counted to fucking 10? Why?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I wasn't there. But what I will say is this. I will clear this up. Yes, I thought the count was extremely quick.
Yeah.
However,
It
I
wasn't
will
10 seconds, you know?
I will say this. In
Mm.
fairness, and as much as I hate to admit it, Herney's legs were completely gone. He
Yeah.
was done. He wasn't going to win the fight.
He got up.
I know as
He got
Australians we
up.
like to focus on it,
He got
but
up.
it was done.
He got
Yeah,
up.
mate,
Tell
his legs were like Popeye and a bender. He
Yeah.
was a drunken sailor. He was absolutely done.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'm glad they did stop it there because
Yeah.
you know, that could cause further harm going forward. He was
Yeah.
never going to recover from that. And there was another minute and 20 seconds left in the round.
Yeah.
Just no way he was going to get out of it. So, okay, sure, the count might have been a bit quick, but it was a done deal. So
All
I
right.
don't like to waste too much time on that. But in saying that, interesting you do mention that the Huni camp has actually lodged an appeal for a potential no result, but
Yeah.
they literally have bugger all chance of getting that. It's like me having the chance to spend a night full of Sports Illustrated supermodels.
Ah.
It just ain't gonna happen.
Oh,
So,
damn. What about for
justice or no
Republic?
justice, there ain't gonna be no justice for
No
Mr.
justice for all, no
Yes,
justice.
correct.
Wasn't it a Metallica album, Justice for
It
All?
was,
Yeah,
yes,
great
quite a
album.
loud and
Had like
fucking
an axe or hammer on the front with blood. Is that right?
yes,
Yeah, Justice for
absolutely.
All.
Back in the day.
So,
So
so
yeah.
what's next for Hooney? So yeah, what's next? Is this? It feels like it's not all over. He's young enough.
No,
It
look, he's
was just
26.
a one punch, like he wasn't outclassed. He did. Does he deserve, or would it be possible for him to get a rematch, or do you think that definitely won't happen?
No, that ship has sailed. You know why? Because when Wardley was in there, he was like, this guy's got a better IQ, he's got better footwork, he's got
Yeah.
better shot selection.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a huge gulf in class when you consider the extensive amateur career that Hurney had. And Wardley was like, wow, I robbed the bank and I escaped with the cash. I
Yeah.
ain't going back to that premises
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah. Okay.
And he can lean on the fact that it was a KO win. Mate, I've knocked you out. All right, sure, you're outclassing me, but why do I need to give you a rematch? I knocked you out.
Yeah. But well, I
That's
guess the
unfortunate.
argument is because it was obvious that, that Hooney was winning the whole time. And it was a fast count. There is an argument, Drew. There is.
There is, but it's not a strong one, and certainly not in the world of boxing.
Yeah.
When someone escapes like with something like that, they don't go back to the scene of the crime. And in boxing, it's even harder to get to that because, in fact, Wardley could argue, not only did I beat you, I now am entitled to fight bigger money fights and bigger
Yeah.
opponents.
Yeah.
Why should I have to go back to
Yeah.
you
It
when
is
I've
going
beat you
backwards too, isn't it?
and knocked you out?
In a
Not
high
just on
risk. It's a
points.
fully high risk as well.
So he's got more than a sufficient reason not to beat
Hmm.
Hurney.
Okay. Yeah. I
We
get
sort
that.
of,
Okay.
you
What about
know,
Hooney? It definitely hasn't ended it for him, but
no,
you know.
no, it hasn't ended for him. Look, he was miles better than
Yeah, and
Wardley.
he's not going
I,
to, he hasn't come out looking bad, you know?
no. For the record, I want to give Wardley a lot of credit because he didn't give up and he did have to throw the shot and
Mm.
he did have to land it. So, congratulations to him. I
Yeah,
just think that Hurney will go back. He'll realize what he did wrong. In fact, I think what also happened is he started enjoying his work a bit too much.
mm,
Now, it's kind of funny, but in boxing, if you're doing particularly well, sometimes it's a danger
yeah,
enjoying yourself too much in the ring because
yeah,
that's when you just switch off for a split second
yeah,
and bang, disaster,
yeah,
particularly for power punches
yeah,
like Fabio Wardley. And that's essentially what happened.
yeah. Okay, what's next? What's Herney gonna do?
Oh, look, I think you'll probably have some sort of domestic layup over here
Yeah,
just to get his confidence back,
yeah.
and then might fight like a slightly upper tier guy from his layup
And
overseas.
maybe, do you reckon he'll come back and fight some kind of Gallon or Sonny Bill Williams, something like
No, no, no circus fights. No,
that? No circus fights. Come on, why not a
no,
circus?
no,
Are you looking forward to Gallon versus Sonny Bill Williams while we bring it up?
no, not at all.
Oh God,
Bugger
I am. I think that's going to be fun. I can't wait to talk
No,
about
no.
that.
Look, he's only 26. He's got plenty of time.
Yeah, yeah.
he's just got to be patient. He'll come again. It was just devastating for everyone. So unfortunately, you had Opetaia, who was flying, and Huni, who was crying.
Crying. Yeah, yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
That's way.
Sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the hammer.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and perfect timing. 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes,
We need
beautiful.
it. Do we need 10 more minutes? Do you want to talk a bit about rugby league or um,
Oh, I
anything
don't,
else? It's
I,
past
I,
midnight. Yeah,
I don't really have any scores that I usually review
yeah.
today, but one thing I will say, just a quick rundown on Manly,
Oh, God.
might be
Yeah,
because we're Manly supporters,
yeah,
slightly controversial take.
yeah.
I'm kind of done with
Manly. Kind of done
not
with
only
Manly.
Manly,
Yeah,
controversial take on the Northern Beaches. I'm out of the Travojevic business.
yeah, yeah,
We're, it's coming up for re-signing at the end of this year. I
yeah,
don't want to re-sign Jake.
yeah.
We're paying Tom $1 million a year to watch Netflix at
Yeah.
home year after year.
Yeah. Well, I hope he watched that boxing. Like if we're paying him a lot of money, I hope he's using his time wisely. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope he,
So, and to have 28 points hung on you against the Knights, who are
uh,
just couldn't score a point to save themselves this
but
year.
look, they look good.
Grim.
And I don't want to talk about Manly's loss as well.
No, we're done. But look, just everyone support Jai Opetaia because
Okay.
he's our
So,
very, very best
got eight
prospect.
minutes. What don't we say? So Manly lost to the Knights.
Yeah.
Knights 26 and Manly 22, and it was the try at the end. It was just shit.
It was just a horror
We're
night.
up 16-0. It was just typical doing a Manly. We're up
At
16.
half time, I know. We've seen the movie before, and no doubt we'll
No
see
more
it
Manly
again.
talk. No more
There'll
Manly.
be a
Um,
sequel, a trilogy, a
Storm
quadri.
won. Storm won 38 to 14. Okay.
Yes.
And the big win, Dolphins won 56, beating a Dragons 6. I mean, that was big.
Yeah, there was some big scores this week. It made me feel a bit better about the loss.
Yeah. Sharks got 10 and Warriors got 40. They really
Yeah, the Sharks got towed up
yeah. And
badly at home too. So look,
yeah.
there are some scores that make me feel a little bit better about this
But
week.
you didn't feel good about Broncos 44 beating the
No.
Des Hasler Titans for 14. You didn't feel good about that?
Yeah, poor old Des sitting at the bottom there. And the bunnies got towed up
But yeah, by Canberra in
by
Canberra, and
Canberra.
Ricky
Yeah.
was jumping. He was happy. Ricky's happy. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, did you watch the Tigers? I felt that they because we had Connor on, and I was going to text Connor, "Hey, Tigers!" And
I know.
they just needed one more try, and see, they got so close. It was like 3 minutes to go,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
bombed it, grabbed it, were about to put it down, just stopped short, and almost
Yeah.
it's bloody Panthers, almost.
Mate, it is a crazy year, and no one can string back-to-back games apart from maybe the top three.
Yeah,
Every,
yeah,
everyone else, it's crazy. I've never seen halfway through the season so many teams with so many losses.
yeah, yeah. True.
Whoever sucks less will get into the eight out of a whole heap of teams that actually suck,
What
including
about
Man.
Manly? Will Manly make the eight?
Oh, potentially, look, we get Saab back soon. He's been a big loss. Oh, maybe on
Okay, all
petrol
right.
fumes.
Next
See
question.
what.
Tomorrow, Monday, the King's birthday. Hail to the King. Hey, what do you
Yeah,
think of the King?
yeah. Oh, he's all right. I guess he looks a bit fresher than what the Queen did. She looked like an old soggy, crumpled up biscuit, the
All
bottom
right.
of some dusty old tin.
Yeah.
So, anyway, rest in peace,
Bulldogs.
Queen.
Yeah, Bulldogs playing Parramatta tomorrow.
Yeah, I like the Bulldogs. Parramatta are playing pretty good football.
Yeah.
I think it'll be reasonably close.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Thursday,
so
next Thursday,
mm.
Sharks play Dragons.
Oh, I think the Sharks. Like Sharks have been inconsistent, but I still think they're better than the Dragons. Dragons will want to play better after this week's shellacking at
Okay.
the hands, or should I say, the fins of the Dolphins. But I think the Sharks.
Up in the Gold Coast, just where Jai Opetaia just won. Okay.
Yeah.
We got Desi's Titans playing Manly. Who's going to win that?
You know what? If Manly, and I mean this, if Manly were playing any other side this week, I'd be tipping the other side.
Yeah.
But because the Titans are
Mad.
finishing stone motherless last,
Yeah.
I'm picking Manly
We
in
need
a
that win. Honestly, we
with a
need that
confidence
win.
rate of minus 10%.
But you're picking Manly. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday, 5:30, Knights play Roosters.
Oh, I've got the Roosters, but who knows? But I've got the Roosters. I'm
Okay.
still dirty at losing to the Knights.
Saturday night, Cowboys in Townsville play Dolphins. That'd be fun, actually.
I'm actually going the Dolphins
Yeah,
on
they're the
this.
favorites. Dolphins are the favorite.
Yeah, I feel Cowboys are a bit like Manly. They are
Chick.
the Forrest Gump box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
Sunday, last game of next round. Next Sunday, not tomorrow. Bunnies versus the Doggies. Big game. Okay. Bunnies
Oh,
home, Acor Stadium.
yeah, no. I've got the Dogs. I just think they're in too good a form.
Yeah.
And I just think the Bunnies again, up and down. They're one of these sides. So many sides are like Manly this
Mm.
year.
Yeah.
You just don't know which one is going to show up each week. Like heaps. Like, 70% of the competition are like that.
Well, let's have a look. So we got, you're not going to believe it. Do you know who's first place?
I'm going to say the Canberra Raiders. Or
Yeah.
the, no, yeah, Canberra Raiders. Yeah.
Raiders are first
Yeah.
place. This is
Mm,
the first time this year
mm,
the
yes.
Dogs haven't been first place, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Wow. Raiders are first place. I can't believe
The
it.
Raiders are doing well, even with
They're
that
doing well. I
retarded
just didn't hear.
attack.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we got three teams on the same amount of points. Okay.
yeah.
Raiders,
Mm.
Bulldogs, and Warriors, all on 22 points.
And you know what? This might sound harsh,
Yeah.
but because all those three sides historically have sucked for a very long time,
Yeah.
I can't help but feel I'll all fall off a great big cliff at the end of the season.
It
I'm
will.
hoping not, and they're not, and they're proving me wrong. But you know how it's hard to sort of change your mindset when
Yeah.
something so drastic has changed, and
Yeah.
it hasn't been like that for the longest time.
Yeah. Fourth spot, okay, is Storm. Yet Storm are by far the favourites to win this thing. The Premiership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I know people go in and out and say the Bulldogs and the Raiders now and this and that and the other, but I just think over a long period of time,
Yeah.
the Storm have always been there and thereabouts.
Yeah.
They're not a new kid on the block when it comes to semi-finals or
All right.
being at the pointy end of the competition.
Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Fifth, Broncos, which is
Yeah.
surprising. They haven't been good.
I know, and the media have been rubbishing the Broncos from
Oh,
pillar
no,
to
no,
post.
sorry, I stuffed up. Fifth, the Sharks.
Yeah, fifth the Sharks.
Cowboys,
Yeah.
Dolphins, then Broncos, and
Yes.
first one out of the eight is Manly, which
Yeah.
you're surprised that Manly is only coming ninth. I'm surprised at that. Like we're
Yeah,
not
but
playing that well, are we? How
no,
are
and
we ninth?
if we had have beaten the Knights,
Yeah,
we would have gone further up the table and been in the eight. We could have gone as high as fifth or sixth
yeah,
if we beat the
yeah,
Knights.
yeah,
So it just shows you like it's a big congested table because
yeah.
no one can
Not
get a
over
grasp
for
on
anyone. It's really
consistency.
not
No
over.
one's consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
About three teams are consistent. That's it. Three or four.
so summing up, Jai Opetaia, thank you.
Yes.
Huni, I'm keen to see Huni fight again. I really
Yeah.
am. He'll
He'll
be,
take his box of tissues. He'll head back to the gym.
yeah,
And as Arnie Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back.
he'll be back. Okay, show us
He'll
your
be,
stand. Ready?
yes.
Ah,
Boom.
my one.
Yeah, I know. You got the finger. There you go.
You reckon you could
So
box like this, Joy? It's titanium too, you know? Does that
absolutely.
mean like, like I
Just give
wouldn't
it
be
the
able to
finger.
box because I've got like titanium in my hand? No? Do you reckon?
You certainly don't have a titanium punch.